Hello team and welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show where we make sense of the weekend's football. Helping me do so today is Zachary Jelab. How the devil are you, my friend?
Very well, thank you. Very, very well. Can't complain. A bit tired, long weekend, but it's been fun. How you doing, mate? Your birthday yesterday. How's things?
It was. I absolutely pickled myself in red wine and rendered myself useless this morning. Disclaimer, probably won't be a vintage show this one, but let's just power through it. I've got as a talking point a winner, a loser, and a moment of the week like I normally do. The talking point, several elements to it. So just stick with me on this episode, Jelab. We're going to start just by touching upon some of the more positive aspects of the England result before we get into more Manchester United mud. And believe you me, I'm fed up of talking about Manchester United mud, but there's just so much of it, okay? So we have to dissect it. Let's start with Harry Kane, though. Harry Kane scored his 49th goal for England at Wembley against Switzerland, overtaking Gary Lineker and drawing level with Bobby Charlton in the goal-scoring charts in the process. He's only 4 away now from Wayne Rooney's record, which is insane given that he made his England debut in March 2015. So he's crammed a lot of goals into a short space of time. Only 3 players have scored more for a UEFA nation since his debut. Can you name all 3 in the comments? Get at it. I'll be in the comments in the first hour to confirm whether you got it right or not. Zach, my one question for you here. Is Harry Kane England's most important player heading into the World Cup later this year?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he probably is with the way that his kind of form is at the moment. He's one of the best strikers in the world. He has been for the past couple of years now. I think even he admitted that the Euros, the beginning anyway, he didn't start like he wanted to. I think a lot of it fell to Sterling to score the goals in the end, but he definitely picked it up later on into that tournament. And he's coming into an age now where he's at his prime. It'll be maybe not maybe his last international tournament, but maybe his last tournament at his major peak, especially the World Cup at least. Maybe the Euros in 2 years' time, he won't be too bad. But yeah, he'll be one of England's most important players. I mean, England will have quite a few of them, but for the country, I think he'll have a lot of pressure, and also being captain as well going into that tournament.
Yeah, I agree. Who do you think will be England's most important player at Qatar? Let us know in the comments below. Let's touch upon some more talking points from the game then. 3 England debutants in this fixture. Gehi, Walker-Peters and Tyreek Mitchell all showing out, but it was stalwart Jordan Pickford that caught the eye, particularly in the first half. At least from what I can remember, making one outstanding stop in particular from centre-back Fabian Fry, I think. He's now played 43 times for England, Pickford, and he's kept 20 clean sheets. That is an impressive record, and he's made no errors leading to goals, unlike at club level. So, Zach, your shout to keep him in the side on Team Talk, ageing well after that 90 minutes against Switzerland. Do you still think he will be Southgate's number 1 heading into the World Cup, or will Ramsdale pip him based on club form?
Well, there's quite a long time until we obviously get to the World Cup later on this year in December time. So, yeah, I mean, unless Everton were to get relegated, which is a possibility, I think it's probably Pickford's to lose, and it will be based on his international game. So if he has maybe a few mares internationally, then maybe he'll get dropped. But currently, yeah, it's his shirt.
I agree. No major mistakes in an England top yet, so let's keep him between the sticks for now. I want to say props to Conor Gallagher in this fixture as well. Very assured in just his second England outing. Created 2 chances and played a big part in the build-up to Luke Shaw's goal, didn't he? The equaliser.
Yeah, well done.
England, though, still looked a bit stunted in front of goal for me. Outshot on the day. Switzerland and England only created 1 big chance apiece, according to Opta-Data, so it wasn't the best attacking spectacle, let's say. Maybe something for Gareth to think about with that 3/5 at the back formation. It does tend to render England a little bit more conservative, doesn't it? We saw it in the group stages at various points in the Euros. I think we saw it in this fixture. Let's see what he plays against the Ivory Coast. Maybe it'll be a 4-3-3. But only time will tell. Let's move on to Manchester United then. And despite no club football playing out this week, United still found their way onto the back pages, didn't they? For all the wrong reasons. Doesn't make for great reading. Not massive stories, the Pogba and Shaw ones separately, but together makes it harder to ignore the discontent, the bubbling discontent at Manchester United. So let's just touch upon their various interviews. Paul Pogba giving a very candid one to French outlet Le Figaro, where he revealed his struggles both on and off the pitch. At the start of the interview, after being asked why he'd found it hard to find his best form since re-signing for Manchester United, he was very blunt, wasn't he? He said, "It's hard to be playing regular at Manchester United when you often change positions, game system or partners. At Manchester United, do I really have a role? I asked the question and I don't have an answer." And this is something we've been sounding out for a little while, isn't it? That Paul Pogba, his raw, potential and attributes have probably been wasted these last 4 or 5 years by not having a defined position. Zach, do you think what Pogba's saying is valid?
Yeah, I think it's definitely valid. I think maybe he's got to take a little bit of the blame. Like, he is kind of just saying it's everyone else's fault, not necessarily my fault. But what he is saying, I think, is true. It's not easy as a player like Paul Pogba, who is 1 minute playing left wing, 1 minute playing DM, 1 minute playing centre forward, 1 minute playing centre mid. So you're being expected to do so much defensive work in the DM role, but then also expected to carry the ball forward and do the attacking role too. Like, so much is expected from him. And when he signed, he was meant to be the beginning of this Manchester United era of bringing back titles, bringing back glory under Jose Mourinho, and it's been really, really rough. Obviously, not gone anywhere near what he would have expected. He was hoping to come back to Manchester United and be the golden boy again. And whilst he was the golden boy, it didn't work out. But what I will say is yes, there is a huge blame on not being able to focus on one position, and obviously having so many different managers constantly who all want to have different ways of playing football. Some are tactical, some are man management. That's not easy. But I will say at the same time, when Pogba has been on the pitch, I feel like I can maybe count on 2 hands games where I've gone, wow, Paul Pogba was insane today. And most of the time it's not been that. And probably the majority of that was when he was playing on the left wing for United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So yeah, I understand his criticism, and I do think it's valid. And I think he makes a very good point, because we might see Pogba leave, which this does feel like. This statement feels like he's almost admitting that, yeah, my time at Manchester United is done. That whatever club he goes on to, we'll probably see a much, much better Pogba that we never saw at United.
Like you said, it does feel like his departure is imminent, especially with the following line where he said, "You have to be honest, the last 5 seasons have not satisfied me, not really at all. This year, it is dead. We won't win anything, whether it is with Manchester United or another club. I want to win trophies." Now, that does intimate at an exit this coming summer, which would surprise absolutely no one. But my question to you is, 1, where do you think he's going to go? And 2, what club do you think he's best suited to? Because they might be 2 totally different answers right there. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think they are 2 totally different answers. I think where he ends up is probably where ends up paying the most. I remember for a little while there was obviously talk of Real Madrid and stuff like that, but and with obviously the aging midfield that Real Madrid have in someone like Toni Kroos and Modric, we've said for years that they're probably going to start planning about bringing someone in. But I think their main focus, if they do bring people in, are probably a few years younger than Pogba. Like, he's not a young guy anymore. He's nearly in his 30s, and realistically, I think maybe Real Madrid just because of how much they can pay, but I probably think PSG. Going back to France, obviously playing in his home nation, like, I think that is probably where we'll see him go, and obviously earning a pretty penny from it too. In terms of where I'd like to see him go, like, I think he'd be pretty good in Man City's midfield. He'd be pretty good there, that's for sure. I also have a thing where, like, I'd like to kind of maybe see him return to Juventus as well, obviously where he was at the peak of his powers before coming back to United, but I think that's probably not going to happen, and I don't know quite whether he would suit them either. But yeah, like, I'd be shocked to be honest, I'd be more shocked to see him staying at Manchester United. But yeah, I think it'll be probably a PSG, probably a Real Madrid, just on who pays the wages. Maybe, you know what, Barcelona love a free transfer as well at the moment, don't they? So maybe Barca as well.
Well, I think it will be that cabal of clubs after his signature, won't it? I think you're right in saying that. Potentially, yeah, France might be the most appealing destination for him. Obviously, within the same interview, spoke about some of his struggles off the pitch as well. Most notably, has mental health suffered under Jose Mourinho, or at least suffered for the first time. Right, his house was obviously burgled while he was playing for Manchester United against Atletico in the Champions League not long ago. So when you start to put those sort of pieces together, or those individual incidents, maybe it results in a return home back to France, where he's loved. He's always been a centerpiece of the international side. He clearly has the trust of Deschamps. He's clearly held in very high regard by the public over there. So maybe that love will pull him back to French shores. Who knows? And just when United's PR department thought they were in the clear, a clearly disgruntled Luke Shaw had this to say following the Three Lions victory.
Yeah, no, of course, I think the environment here that Gareth obviously creates, I think you always enjoy it. And I think, when I come here, for me, it's about enjoyment and, playing games, with a smile on my face and enjoying it. And I feel like here, when I come here, I always do that. And, we all love playing for our country. And, of course, when we're here, we purely just focus on what's happening here because, obviously, my main focus is England at this time.
Yeah, but for you, is it you need to be happy to play well?
I think everyone does, really. I think it's always important to feel like you're wanted, and I think especially here, I always feel that. I'm not saying I don't at United, but especially here, I think the way things are, I think I feel wanted, and like I said, I enjoy my football, and I think a big part of football is the enjoyment. And of course, it's hard to enjoy when we're losing and we're not playing well at club level, and we have to face that. Of course, this season it's not been good enough at all, so it's hard to enjoy.
Okay, let's also talk about, lastly, for the Manchester United segment at least, the news that Luis Enrique has become a serious contender for the United job, despite Ten Hag and Pochettino obviously being this sort of standout candidates for the last 6 months. A lot of tabloids are saying that Lucho's prospects are being seriously underplayed, according to some tabloids. Wow. What I will say about this, before I ask you if your opinion is, that with the World Cup being a Winter World Cup, and 8 months away now, I don't see him leaving this Spain project for a club within this calendar year, because they made so much progress at the Euros. He was clearly so brimming with pride for that squad, and I think he probably stays with the international setup for now, which feels a little bit crazy to say if Manchester United are on the horizon. But what do you make of it?
No, I think you're completely right. If we were in a year's time, and obviously the World Cup's just gone, the next major tournament isn't for another 2 years, I'd be thinking, it's a huge possibility, and it'd be a great job for him to. Well, it would be a fantastic job for him to take. But right now, when he's put so much as an international manager, when you've put so much time and so much effort into obviously getting your nation back to where you are, as you mentioned, having set some really good foundations and groundwork with the Euros that just went last summer, then I think you're ready to kind of go into this World Cup, and you've put all your effort into going into this World Cup, and so it would be a very, very odd. Obviously, it has happened before, a manager leaving before a major tournament. I think one of the Netherlands boys did it. I can't quite remember exactly who though, whether it was Louis van Gaal or Koeman. But I think it would feel very odd if he was to do it, especially where Spain are, as you mentioned. Obviously, got a very young and up and coming midfield coming through, and not just to mention the midfield kind of all over that Spanish squad. And so it would be odd, and I kind of doubt it would happen. Unless the money was ridiculous, which at Manchester United it can be. Yeah,
the aspect of this story that I do agree with is that he's probably being undervalued as a candidate. I think if you ask the average football fan, they'd probably be quite dismissive of the 51-year-old, despite him having some serious credentials. And the job he's done with that Spain team has been seismic. A little bit like Southgate, it hasn't just been about results. It's been about a cultural reset as well. And I've always sort of admired the leader that he is, or at least appears to be. Let's move on then. Enough Manchester United chat. Let's talk a little bit about Christian Eriksen, who is this week's winner. Denmark lost 4-2 in a friendly against the Netherlands at the Amsterdam Arena, and they were pretty dominant, the Dutchmen. But no one really cared about the results. The prevailing narrative was all about Christian Eriksen's dream return to international football. This was truly heartwarming. I think it was his first touch after being subbed on in the second half, finished with aplomb. And this is what he had to say.
Yeah, no, I think everyone welcomed me in a very good way, and I felt very welcomed. And of course, I've been here before for many years, so of course they know me here. But no, it was a very warm and very heartwarming reception for sure.
All right, Zachary, let's maintain the pace then and move on to our losers, Italy. Pretty easy selection this week. Failed now to qualify for back-to-back World Cups after losing their playoff semi-final against North Macedonia, who came into the tie ranked 67th, 61 places behind Italy. Italy did have 32 efforts at goal, but still, just 9 months after triumphing at the Euros, the headlines in Italy are once again gunning for the players, the managers, the association, the way that football is run from a grassroots level in the country. Yeah, it's just carnage once more in the Italian media, isn't it? Zach, I guess the punchy question I have for you, in the aftermath of this result is, do you think Mancini will stay and serve that contract that runs until 2026?
Yeah, it's rough. It's very rough. It's hard. It's hard because it depends on how obviously the media want to play this out. If it is all blame game on Mancini, then I don't think he'll survive. But then I look out there and I'm like, well, what guy are they going to bring in who's willingly going to leave club football to come to the mess at the moment that is that international side? I think Mancini's a pretty good manager to keep hold of, and obviously with the way that Italy are probably about to go over the next 2 years at least until the next major tournament, going to go through a huge change. Big players like your Bonucci's and your elders in that Italian side aren't going to be playing within 2 years in that next major tournament. And so maybe keeping someone like Mancini who can kind of at least steady the ship whilst that transition happens, I think is a good idea. Mancini is a good manager. We saw that at the Euros. We 100% saw that at the Euros. And against North Macedonia, they were unlucky. They had a penalty that was missed. Obviously, they had plenty of chances to put it away. And it was one of those games where hats off to North Macedonia. They battled well and they got their one chance, and it was that one chance that they finished. And so I think sacking Mancini may be a slight overreaction. What I could possibly see is actually Mancini leave himself for club football. That I think is probably more likely than him being sacked, personally.
Yeah, all he's got to look forward to now at the helm of the national side is the UEFA Nations League, right? Yeah. I imagine he had more burning ambitions than that after winning the European Championships. I must say, I looked at some of the Italian headlines this morning. Not a lot of them really sticking the boot into Mancini, at least some of the ones I saw, like Tutto Sport sounding out Jorginho as a snail, Il Messaggero saying that the shame was worse than ever, but the problem runs deeper than management, etc. I think even the president of Rome chipped in saying that we were just lucky at the European Championship. So a bit of revising history a little bit, which must hurt Mancini, right? Because like you said, he did mastermind that Euros win. It was very impressive. So maybe it will be him that walks away rather than vice versa. But time will tell. I think that's 2 segments I've rounded out with. Only time will tell. But alas, we're at the end of the show. We're at moment of the week. We've dragged ourselves there. Our moment of the week is clearly Christian Eriksen scoring upon his return to international football, quite clearly. But I also wanted to say to people, if you haven't seen England under 21's goals, I think it was against Andorra. It was against lowly opposition, but still, the quality of goals, very, very high. Anthony Gordon's volley in particular. If you've not checked that out, go and check it out. The highlights are well worth a watch. Hit us up with your suggestions too. What was your moment of the week? Zach, do you have a moment of the week to finish the show on?
Your birthday, mate. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Cheers, pal. Right, guys, subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and we'll catch you on next week's Winners and Losers. Bye.